Hello everybody, welcome back to a video, and today I have for you the first installment of a new series called Real News. So, if you want the series to continue, hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe while you're at it, and leave comments with future news stories I could discuss, or, feedback on this episode. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So, first thing, the big deal of the day is that Hunter Biden has been found guilty on every single count in his gun trial. He faces up to 25 years in prison and also faces up to $750,000 in fines. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, this makes sense, right? But we're going to continue because there's a little bit more, and then I'm going to share my opinions on the matter. So basically, Biden has said he ain't pardoning Hunter. A president can give a pardon to someone. Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon. So basically, Joe Biden has said he isn't going to pardon Hunter, but at the same time says he's proud of the man that Hunter has become, which, yeah, that's a statement that he released with it. And yeah, I think give it a week. We'll see a pardon for old Hunter Biden. I think that's what we're going to see happen. But we do have a statement here from Trump's campaign national press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. This trial has been nothing more than a distraction from the real crimes of the Biden crime family, which has raked in tens of millions of dollars from China, Russia, and Ukraine. Crooked Joe Biden's reign over the Biden family criminal empire is all coming to an end on November 5th, and never again will Biden sell government access for personal profit. I think that it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people were kind of shocked because it's the president's son, and they tried to give him a big, deal last year. Basically, it makes complete sense because it would have been deemed as political favoritism, to say Donald Trump is guilty for his crime, whatever that may be, which they didn't specify in his New York case, whereas for a clearly defined crime by Hunter Biden, gets found not guilty wouldn't make a lot of sense, and it would lead to further, maybe even more people voting for Trump, seeing the obvious favoritism, and so that's why, all right, we gotta find the guy guilty. That way, it doesn't further damage Sleepy Joe's bid. But you know what could further damage Sleepy Joe's bid? If his only shot at putting Trump in jail falls apart, which it looks like it might. So basically, there's 4 cases that Joe Biden and the Democratic Party have set up to use against Donald Trump. Right? There's the classified documents case in Florida. That's been thrown out. That has been completely thrown out, indefinitely postponed. Pretty much ain't happening. The Georgia case, the RICO case they're trying to get him on, that one's gone effectively. It ain't happening until the election. And when Trump wins in November, basically, they won't be able to try him. You cannot try a sitting president. So, yeah, that one's out the window. And the DC case, they actually can't start. Which the DC case is the whole January 6th one. basically they can't start that until presidential immunity kicks in. And so that only leaves the Democrats with one option, which is this hush money case. So, quick question for you. When was the case originally started? You might think a couple of years ago, maybe? No, 2017. Literally the first year Trump was in office. Which is crazy. And then, question, the affair, right? The hush money was allegedly for. When was that affair? 2005 is the correct answer for that. Okay, so why do I bring up Trump's cases? Well, very simple, because the New York one is most likely about to get thrown out. Basically, a juror pretty much broke the law. Basically, when you're serving in a jury, the law states you cannot discuss the case with family or friends. And one of the jurors apparently got a little too excited about sending the current Republican nominee for president to prison, because someone claiming to be a cousin of one of the jurors said, hey, I heard what you guys are doing. And it's someone who obviously supports throwing Trump in jail because he said, good job. So, when this tweet was uncovered, the judge had to send out a press statement saying something about this to both parties involved in the trial. In addition to that, a lot of people are saying mistrial. And here's the thing. If you do a mistrial on this subject, then you have two options. One, you can throw out the case entirely. Or two, and I hate to say it, but I think this is the one that they're going to do. They start the whole thing over again. I would hate this, and I think everyone else hates this as an option. But legitimately, let's not forget that the judge tried to use this case to keep Trump from going to his own son's graduation. And yeah, honestly, the timing of it really seems like they wanted to keep him off the campaign trail. And yeah, honestly, I think if they do the whole trial over again, then I think people who are on the fence about it being political persecution, I think they're definitely like, oh shoot, yeah, this definitely is that. Because the only way they could get away with doing the whole trial again is saying we're only going to do it again in 2025 if Trump somehow loses, which everything is saying right now, Trump wins. Plain and simple. All right, so you know who probably would not want Trump to win this election? Zelensky. He is the president, kind of dictator, of Ukraine. Basically, point is, a couple of years ago, Russia invaded Ukraine, and basically Zelensky declared martial law, I think, and no elections have been held, so he's essentially a dictator. Anyway, Ukraine has an enemies list of people inside the United States, and it is a very long list. So I've got some of the names for you. I'm going to go through this one quickly because other people have already covered this story, so I'm just going to go through a few of these names. Elon Musk is on the list. He is the current owner of X, which used to be Twitter. And also rumored to be an advisor to Trump during the second Trump administration. Candace Owens, who is a very, I believe, popular, might be a little bit of an understatement there, podcast host. J.D. Vance, a senator who is a leading contender to be Trump's VP. Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, Donald Trump Jr., Donald Trump himself, Tucker Carlson, and RFK Jr. There's a few other names on there as well. But basically, it's people who've criticized this whole thing. And, by the way, did you know we've sent over $100 billion to Ukraine? Seriously, maybe some of that could be used towards our national debt. Or, here's a shocking one, the border wall. Anyway, I'm just saying that why do you have an enemies list? This is kind of weird. Why is it all people on the right and RFK Jr.? Either way, mainly brought it up because I thought this is kind of weird. But yeah, also at the same time, the country has sent loads of money to Ukraine. It's crazy. All right, next up. It's not slightly. It's a much more lighthearted topic. Candace Owens. She is back on the podcast scene with a new podcast on her YouTube channel. And after watching the first couple of episodes, it is definitely a very good podcast. The first one goes in depth on the drama at the Daily Wire, providing the most concise account of what happened. By the way, not sponsored at all. Just wanted to say that this is not sponsored. So, very excited to see future episodes. First two are out back to back. So, yep. Very interesting. And also there is an interview coming up with 2020 presidential candidate Kanye West. So that is going to be very interesting to see. So moving on to the next story, which is Greater Idaho. So basically, if you've not heard about this is, I think, one of the most interesting news stories to happen recently. Basically, in some states, one county decides where all of that state's electoral votes go. And, in a state like Illinois, it's Cook County. And in Oregon, it's mainly the west side of Oregon. The east side of Oregon is very red. And so, basically, it's basically about getting the border of Idaho to include those red counties. Idaho's up for it. The people in those counties are up for it. You know who's not up for it? The people in the blue part of Oregon. Yeah, the Democrat Party of Oregon. Yeah, basically, they want to keep that land as part of Oregon for electoral votes, honestly. Because they would lose a couple. But here's the thing. Even if they somehow come to some sort of consensus on the whole issue, on this whole thing, Congress still has to ratify it. Which means this probably ain't happening before the 2024 election. I could see it maybe being done by the 2028 election, but not 2024. Okay, moving on. Final news story is Donald J. Trump currently has a 7-point lead on Sleepy Joe in Ohio. So basically, 1,259 adults in Ohio were surveyed and polled. And 48% said they're voting for Donald Trump. And 41% said they were voting for Sleepy Joe. And with a decent showing for a third-party candidate, RFK Jr. got 5%. And Jill Stein and other lesser-known third-party candidates are getting basically around 1%. So, yeah, that's a very interesting polling number, and it really reflects what's seen in a lot of states. And legitimately, I'm kind of wondering, could we see California turn red? I doubt it, but I mean, maybe we'll see a bunch of states that normally are blue turn red. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But either way, like I said, that is this episode of Real News. If you want the series to continue, let me know in the comments down below. And like and subscribe while you're down there. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.